Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my channel. This is Tanush, and today I have selected this topic of Kemadruma Dosha because I have received a lot of queries, lot of emails saying that I have got Kemadruma Dosha and I'll have a miserable life, or it's a particular planetary alignment or a dosha which causes poverty for a person, or a person would suffer for lifelong. So today we'll try to understand what is actually Kemadruma Dosha, and what are the effects of this dosha, how can we overcome that, and what are the simple remedies with which we can handle this dosh, because it is present in the horoscope, right? We cannot deny the fact that it's present, right? So let's start. Now, mind is a very sensitive element, we can say. It's a subtle entity which cannot be seen, but mind plays a very very important role. So if you have listened to my video on moon, right, afflicted moon, which I had done way back when I started this channel. So in that channel I told that if a person has bad planets, many good planets are placed in a very bad spot, but still the person can handle things, but if the mind is impacted, then it becomes quite difficult for a person to actually handle things, because mind is an entity which actually gives us courage. It is how we perceive the world, how we understand the world, how we understand the situations, and how we react to the situation. It all depends upon how we train our mind. And if mind is afflicted, then it actually becomes very difficult to handle. But this particular dosh, which is known as Kemadruma dosh, is a little different, right? So Kemadruma dosh happens when in a chart the moon is isolated, meaning the moon does not have any planet before it or any planet after it, which means the moon does not have any planet 12 houses from itself and the second house from itself, and the moon is not in conjunction with any other planet. Now if the south and north nodes, that is the Rahu and Ketu, are placed 12th or second from the moon, or if moon is conjunction with this Rahu and Ketu, it is still considered as Kemadruma dosh, right? So the moon is isolated. Now the tendency of moon is that it needs support all the time. And how does it get support in astrology is, if it has a planet 12 houses from itself, which means a house prior to itself, or if it has a planet immediately after the house where it is sitting, which means the second house from itself, or if there is any planet which is conjuncting moon, which is in conjunction with moon, then moon gets a kind of support, either to fall back or to look at. Moon needs that support. And if there is no planet 12th or second house from itself and in conjunction with moon, then that is known as Kemadruma dosh, right? Now what can be the effects of this dosh is, one is the person feels extremely helpless. The person doesn't get the required support in life, and the person is always isolated. The person likes to be in isolation, away from people, and the person doesn't like to mingle with people and lead a very dynamic life, right? Now, is this bad or is this good? So we'll look at a couple of scenarios and then decide if it is good or if it is bad. Now obviously it depends upon where the moon is placed, which sign the moon is placed, which nakshatra the moon is placed, right? So there are many other factors, but the moon feels helpless, and the person actually feels helpless in that particular aspect where the moon is actually sitting, right? Now, does this dosh cause poverty? That is not correct, because there are many wealthy people who have this dosh, but they have made it there in the life. Even for that matter of fact, Bill Gates has this dosh, and he's supposed to be one of the richest person on earth, right? So this dosh in itself doesn't cause poverty, Now, feeling of helplessness, yes, it causes, right? Now, suppose we'll take two scenarios. A person has, say, Kemadruma Dosh, wherein moon is sitting, say, alone in the fifth house, right? So the person has to suffer isolation and all those things are there which we discussed. Now suppose that there is no Kemadruma Dosh, which means there are planets, either 12th house from the moon or the second house from the moon. Now suppose that there are two malefic planets, 12th house from the moon, and there is a malefic planet in second house from the moon, right? So suppose there is Saturn, 12th house from the moon, and there is, say Mars, second from the moon. Now, is this good or bad? So, is this a Kemadruma Dosh? It's not a Kemadruma Dosh, right? But is this good? Now, this causes another kind of dosh, which is known as Papkartari Dosh, wherein these two malefic planets, they exert lot of pressure on the moon. The moon feels lot of pressure, and that particular aspect of moon, meaning the sign of Cancer and the house where it is placed, the person suffers on that front, and then it becomes really very difficult because moon feels that pressure. So looking at this kind of scenario, sometimes it is better that moon is left alone without any malefic conjunctions or presence of malefic planet at 12th and 2nd from itself, right? Now suppose a person has this kind of placement for Kemadruma Dosh, and the moon is placed, say, suppose in the 5th house. So what does this denote? This denotes that the person likes to live in isolation, doesn't mix with people. Also, the person feels helpless. But if moon is present in the 5th house and the person likes isolation, then this gives the person a chance to actually spend a lot of time in studying or in enhancing the skills in which the person is actually interested or is good at. And if you look at the charts of many famous people, or even many famous artists, or even people like movie stars or singers, they do have this dosh in some particular place wherein they were in isolation and they utilize this isolation to enhance their skills, and then actually they they came into public and they could actually exhibit their skills, right? Now, yes, this dosh or the planetary placement of moon causes a lot of issues of isolation, feeling lonely and everything, right? And this dosh actually doesn't stay for lifelong. So if you are running moon Mahadasha or moon Antadasha, then you will actually feel the presence of this dosh in your life. That is when it is very prominent. But otherwise, when you reach a mature age of, say, 35 or 40, that is when you actually overcome this, right? Now, how do we deal with this? Now, first thing is, you have to understand that you have got this Kemadruma Dosh, and the nature which you have to live in isolation, to live away from people, not liking to mingle with people or spend good quality time with people, it is because of presence of that dosh, right? And you obviously feel helpless. Suppose this is placed in the 10th house. I have seen people who feel helpless in their profession or in their career or at their job, right? So I've seen these kind of charts. So what we can do is, first is understand that you have got this dosh. Second is accept and look at the symptoms of this dosh, and if they are matching the kind of things which you are feeling, then that means it is due to the the presence of Kemadruma Dosh. So how we can overcome is, try to build a network circle of people whom you are comfortable with, right? So there may be people who relate to you. Obviously there will be people, so maybe your network circle will not be very large, but try to have some network circle of people who you can trust and whom you can believe. Second is, try to get some mentors in your life who can actually guide you, because whenever you get this feeling of helplessness, that is when you can actually approach them and take guidance. And once you get the guidance, believe me, you can actually get direction, because this lonely, isolated moon will actually give the feeling of directionless to a person. I've seen this, right? So have a mentor, a good mentor. That person can be anyone whom you trust, and then take guidance from that person so that the person will guide you in the right direction, and then you'll not feel that you're directionless, right? So build your own network circle. You have to understand that it is in your nature, if you have this dosh, that you cannot mingle with people easily, and that actually happens. So try to overcome that, and build your own network circle. Try to be with them, try to get close with them, and the next level, try to strengthen your moon. And to strengthen the moon, you will have to do meditation or any spiritual technique, whichever path you follow. Try to do that, because that actually gives a lot of strength to the moon. And when moon gains that strength, so you'll feel the direction and you can overcome these tendencies quite easily. Otherwise, moon is very difficult to overcome. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says that mind is very, very difficult to control. He says that I feel that it's easy to control the wind, but controlling mind is impossible, right? So understand that you have this dosh. Try to relate the kind of feelings which you are getting of loneliness, of isolation, directionless with this dosh. And if they are present, then you have to know it is because of that. And then you have to take corrective steps of strengthening your mind by spiritual practices, building your network circle, and taking guidance from mentors, or people whom you believe who understand you. And then you will be slowly able to overcome this dosh, and use that time of isolation wherein you are alone to do something good, to do something creative. Because most of the creative things, not all, but many things have been invented by people who have this dosh, right? So it's good or bad, it again depends upon where it is placed. And it's good that a moon is not surrounded by malefics. Because what happens if moon suppose has a malefic planet 12 houses from itself, which means some malefic planet behind it, then the mind of that person always tries to dwell in the past where things have gone wrong. And to do anything good, the person will always first get into the past, think that things have gone wrong, and then again the person has that apprehension that things might again go wrong in the future, right? And if a person has a malefic planet after moon, which means second house from itself, then the person will always be apprehensive, doubtful whether if I do this, is this the right thing to do, whether I will succeed or not. So the person will have those doubts. And if there is any malefic planet in conjunction with moon, suppose Saturn is there with moon, then that is another sort of problem. It brings in a lot of issues based on which sign it is, which nakshatra it is, how tight the conjunction is. The person might get into depression or various other mental issues which a person has to deal with, right? So Kemadruma Dosha is not always bad. Yes, there are some placements of moon where actually a person feels that pain, but again if you deal with that, you can overcome that, and life will become much simpler, right? And don't be afraid that this dosh will cause poverty. It doesn't cause poverty, because there are many multi-millionaires who have this dosh and they have made it there in the life, right? So guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I'll be back with another interesting video. Thank you.